discipleship, let me know.
Oh,
I would make it. I would make it. I would clear my schedule for that. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. And again, thanks to the musicians for today. That was wonderful. Always love it. Felt like I lost some calories today already. All right. So again, we're on the topic of nutrition, and I kind of titled the thing "Sharpening Your Swords," right? Having dominion over all diseases, because we were supposed to have dominion, right, over everything, including diseases. So last week, just to kind of reiterate, we talked about some of the basics. One of the nutritional tips that we talked about was water, and we will reiterate that today as well. The importance of drinking water. So let's jump right into it. The building blocks.
Yes, sir.
Can we all agree that this building is built on some type of foundation, right? Yeah. We can all agree on that. You know, whether if it's a shallow foundation, whether if it's a deep foundation, whether if it's built on a basement, or maybe built on a crawl space or some type of slab. You know, we can all agree that it's built on some type of foundation, right? Yeah. These are the building blocks. Well, this building has its foundations, and guess what? So does your body. Your body has its foundations or foundational things that it needs to function effectively, okay? And in order for your body to function effectively, that means you must provide it with the building blocks. So I want to talk to you about some of the building blocks, and again, last week we already mentioned one of those building blocks, which is water, but I want to mention some of the other building blocks as you go throughout this journey of becoming a vegetarian or a vegan or just a healthier lifestyle. So let's go to the next slide. All right, so the building blocks of our diet provide sources for energy, okay? So if you have a dream, if you have a vision, you want to be able to build that dream, build that vision, well, you need energy in order to do that. And you need to give your body the correct energy in order to do that. So the building blocks can really be separated into 6 different categories. Some texts say 7, but we'll say 6, okay? With 2 subcategories. First subcategory we have is macronutrients. Second category we have is micronutrients, okay? Another category would be water. And then again, if we had to add the 7th category, the 7th category would be special supplements. Now, I am not against special supplements like taking magnesium pills. I'm not against that. But I also believe that every special supplement can be gained from a food source, right? And there's something about pills that I'll tell you about later on. So let's look at the macronutrients. I won't be able to go into the micronutrients today, but I'll certainly talk about the macronutrients, and both are very important. So when we think about the macronutrients consist of your carbohydrates, consist of your proteins, and consist of your lipids and fats. How many of you know what carbohydrates are? Or have at least heard of carbohydrates? Okay. How many of you have at least heard of proteins? And where do we get our proteins from, right? Meat. Yeah. Let's get meat. Right? And then we have the lipids and fats. Who have heard of lipids and fats? All right, yeah. So we need all of those. All of those consist of our macronutrients. Think of the macronutrients as where we obtain our calories. So macronutrients is where we obtain our calories. Okay, so you might hear a lot of people say, I'm counting calories. Well, what they are really counting, or what they are really taking into consideration, is their macronutrients. Again, the intake of their carbohydrates, their proteins, and their lipids and fats. Okay, so the carbohydrates, or rather the entire category of the macronutrients, is where we get our energy, is our energy source. So it's where we where we get the calories from, and it's also our energy source. It's also our energy source. Okay, so carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are good for muscle growth. So carbohydrates help with muscle growth. Think of carbohydrates as, to give you some example for foods, would be the breads, would be the whole wheat breads, okay? Will also be the pastas and things of that nature, real starchy stuff. Now here's the thing about carbohydrates, because we need carbohydrates, actually we need all these macronutrients, especially carbohydrates. Carbohydrates is also considered our sugars, aka glucose. Now here's the thing about the carbohydrates. And I'm going to repeat that for the other two, for the remaining two categories as well. If we eat too much carbohydrates, which is our sugar, which is aka glucose, the body turns that into fat. So why does the body turn that into fat? I'm glad you asked. Think about it like this. If you want to build a house, and we take all of the bricks and the materials and place it in the yard on the area where we're going to build that house. And then we build the house. And then after the house is built, we bring in more bricks and materials. And it's like, well, why do you bring in more bricks and materials when the house is already built?
That's good. That's good. I like that.
That's what your body is asking you. I'm already filled with the amount of carbohydrates that I need. Why do you keep feeding me pasta and bread and all this starchy stuff? So I don't know what to do with this. I'm going to turn this into fat. Just like that. The body knows what to do. And if you give it too much of it, it's going to say, okay, well, you asked for it, so I'm going to give it to you as fat. And there you go. So when we eat, just in general, not speaking on the terms of vegetarian or vegan or whatever, but just in general, whole food, plant-based, when we eat, we want to eat to get satisfied. We want to eat to the point of being satisfied. We never want to eat to the point of being full. And so many times when we eat to the point of being full. We don't just eat to the point of being satisfied. So you may have a whole box of pizza, right? And instead of eating the entire box of pizza, especially if it's Little Caesars, right? $5 hot You do not have to eat the entire thing just because it's in front of you. When you go to a buffet, I know it's $10 a buffet is all you can eat. That's all right. They stoned Stephen in the Bible, but you won't stone this Stephen. Stephen was filled with the Holy Spirit. Yeah. So I know, and I was there once too. You know, again, because it's in front of me, and we have built, our Western society has built this mindset that more, and especially for food. Yeah. If the food is in front of you, you do not have to eat it. I know it's $10 and it's at a great price, but you do not have to eat it. So when we do go overboard with our eating, again, the body reads it as, I do not need this, but if you continue to give me this, then I would just place it as fat. Okay? So that's our carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are important, and again, we can get those from starchy meals like whole foods, or wheat breads and things, and pastas and things like that, right? Let's talk a little bit about the proteins. Any questions about that before I move on? All right. Okay, you have a question?
What's the good bread? Just for hypothetical reasons.
Like say for example, if you want to, like if you like bread, right? There is a brand of bread that is called Ezekiel bread. Ezekiel bread. You can purchase it Fresh Market, Walmart, and the Ezekiel bread. It's flourless bread. Yeah, it's actually flourless. Mm-hmm.
Does it feel like the scriptures?
It's Is it And you can get, if you're in Walmart, you can go to the frozen food aisle, specifically the gluten-free. They have a specific aisle for it, just a section, really, not an aisle.
It's frozen.
It's frozen. Yeah, it's frozen. It's not in the common breads. It's a higher standard. Yeah, it's a higher standard. They'll actually give you a King James when you buy the bread too. Yeah, they'll give you a copy of King James. So Ezekiel is a good one. It's flourless. It's all right. I mean, your palate have to become accustomed to it, but it tastes good.
You're not eating it for the taste, it's for the health.
There we go.
I'm sorry, y'all mad.
That's good. For health reasons. Eat it for health reasons. All right. Let's talk a little bit about proteins. So again, we are conditioned to eat meat, and by eating meat, we're able to get our proteins, right? And then a lot of people think, well, if you are a vegetarian, if you're a vegan, the number one question is, where do you get your proteins? Well, you can get your proteins from other food options other than meat, right? Because here's the thing about meat products. So when we think about the cows and the goats and the chickens and the pigs and things of that nature, they're really the middleman. They are the middleman. Where do they receive their protein from? From the plants. They receive their protein from the plants. So if we can remove the middleman, the meat, and get our source of protein from the plants, that means that we are able to fill up with more protein than just by consuming it from the middleman. Cut the middleman out, go right to the source. Go right to the source. Plant-based chitlins. Made from tofu. It looks like chitlins, but you can make it from tofu. I don't know if this is no, I'm just making something up. I'm sure. That would be awesome.
Do they have vegan hot sauce?
I don't know if they have vegan hot sauce or not. I don't know. All right. So again, as you go along this journey, being mindful that you can receive your protein from meat sources, but you can also receive your protein from plant sources as well. Cut the middleman out, go right to the plants, and you can get your sources of protein. So we're looking at things like a lot of beans, right? Like black beans, you can get your proteins from black beans, pinto beans, things of that nature. Lentils, you can also get protein from chia seeds. Chia seeds is a good source of proteins and fats, which we'll get to as well. So there are things where you can substitute. And keep in mind that while you're going through this journey, you don't necessarily have to go cold turkey. You can, but you don't have to. You can actually designate, let's say I want to designate 3 days a week. So I want to designate Monday, Wednesday, and Friday of going vegetarian or vegan. So I am cutting out the meat for that, or dairy milk, dairy cheese, and eggs or meat products for those days. And then as you become more disciplined, because really it's about a lot of discipline. And as you become more disciplined, then you can integrate more days during the week. So protein, something else to add into proteins, which is which is so key, is that proteins help with the formulation of the antibodies. So antibodies help fight off things like bacteria, help fight off things like fungi, help fight off things like viruses.
Amen.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This was revolutionary here. You mean to tell me that if I get the right amount of proteins and the right proteins in my body, which help my body fight off antibodies, viruses, bacteria, and fungi, if I can do this all the natural way, then why choose an alternative? Because we don't know. Because we don't know. We perish for lack of knowledge. Your body already knows what to do. You just got to give it the right stuff, and it will respond. Your body wants to help fight off any kind of disease. It's built that way. Exactly. Just needs the right tools. Needs the right tools. So as you go along through this journey, again, making sure that you get the right proteins. Yes, you can get the proteins from the animal products, but you can also get the proteins from the plant products. It's important to get your proteins because proteins help with the formulation of antibodies. Antibodies help with fighting off bacteria, helps fighting off with viruses, help fighting off with fungi. Proteins. And again, all of these are the basic building blocks, but these three specifically help give you energy throughout the day. Okay? Last but not least, let's talk about the lipids or fats. So the lipids or fats. The lipids or fats are interesting because they help with vitamins or minerals kind of flow through your body. So you ever heard of like vitamin C, vitamin A, vitamin K, and things of that nature, right? So they help with that. Again, just like with obtaining too much carbohydrates or obtaining too much proteins, if you get too much lipids and fats in your system, what do you think that your body will do to it? It will shut it down, and it will show in other places. And then we get these things called love handles. And nothing wrong with love handles. They have his name for a reason.
Talk the scripture.
So we want to be mindful. We want to be mindful of our lipids and fats, right? And so where can we get our lipids and fats? Again, we can get our plant-based, so we can get soybeans. My favorite is to get avocados. Avocados is a great source of getting your lipids and fats. Something else that I want to add into about lipids and fats. Lipids and fats help with the cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane. Okay, these two words are interchangeable with one another, but we'll use cell membrane. So the cell membrane is the first defense of a cell. Again, when we are looking at changing our health, we want to keep in mind that we want to do it at a very cellular level. Because when we look at the different organizations of the body, we start at a cellular level, and then from the cellular level, things move to tissues. From the tissues, we move to organs, like the lungs, the liver, the spleen, the pancreas. And then all of these things combined make up a system, like the digestive system, or the integumentary system, or the cardiovascular system, or the muscular system. And then together, we have an organism. So again, looking at from a cellular perspective, to explain this, can I have three volunteers? Three volunteers, please. Yeah. Reggie's always a great volunteer. Ta-da! And then there was three. Oh, I have four. Wow. All right. So Oh, can I have the fourth person, please?
Fourth person. She's coming. You need a lady up there. Funny one at that. Come on. I'm trying to. What's going to Hey, and the first one, big and strong. She got something.
All right, so again, lipids and fats are very important for these the cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane. So let's kind of talk a little bit about the cell, right? Again, we're trying to get everything into our cell because cells are the foundation for everything. So they are three basic parts to a cell. Okay, the first part, we have the cell membrane, also known as the plasma membrane. The cell membrane acts as the gatekeeper. Think of the cell membrane as the door to this building, right? In order for someone or something to get inside, it has to go through the door. And that is what your cell membrane is. It's the door. It's the gatekeeper. Okay? Nothing gets in, and really nothing gets out through the cell membrane. All right? So this is my cell membrane. The next basic part to a cell we have is the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is everything that lies within the cell except the nucleus, and we'll get to the nucleus soon. So the cytoplasm is everything that lies within the cell, and I'm keeping this very basic. All right? This is the cytoplasm. Okay? After the cytoplasm, there we go. That's a nice color. Yeah.
It looks green.
Yeah.
Money green.
Yeah. That's health. That is health. Green represents health. All right. After the cytoplasm, the next basic component is the nucleus. Okay? So the nucleus is the center. Right? So the nucleus is the center. So in order for something to get inside all the way to the nucleus, it has to come through all of these different parts. Okay? And we said that lipids and fats are important because lipids and fats are important for the cell membrane. So if I want to keep my cell membrane strong, that means I have to give it the right lipids and fats. Okay. And then I take my friend here, who, let's say, cancer. Right? Yeah. We use this in class. We use the example. Let's say you are not cancer. You are not. So let's say cancer, right? So we want to put this as realistic as possible. So cancer come along.
He's the bouncer.
He's the bouncer, right? Cancers get stopped at the cell membrane, right? Because he's a wrestler, man. Because we've given our bodies the right macronutrients. We've given our bodies the right carbohydrates. We've given our bodies the proteins, and specifically the lipids and fats. Because the lipids and fats help with the cell membrane, right? Let's say, hypothetically, okay, if we didn't give our bodies the right lipids and fats, and our cell membrane is not as strong, then the cancer will get through, right? So,
knock him out the way.
ooh, all right, here we go. Cancer is inside the door. Cancer is inside the cell. So now cancer is in the cytoplasm, right? Remember we talked about proteins and how we said that proteins are good for the formulation of antibodies, and antibodies help with fighting off things like bacteria, fungi, and viruses. So if we give our bodies the right proteins, our cytoplasm will stop it, say, hey, that's not going to work, and it will fight off the cancer, right? Attack, retreat. And that's what we call in military terms an ambush, people. I was an ambush. I tricked you. Man, I tricked you into that. let's say, okay, if we get to the point where we didn't give our bodies the right proteins, right, which can't build the antibodies that we need to fight off any kind of disease. And then we make our way to the nucleus, right? And so by that time, it's like, it's time to see Jesus. Exactly. Exactly. Does that make sense with everybody? Yeah? Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Jonathan. That's good. Yeah.
We want to see somebody fight.
So again, this is why it's important to make sure that we get the correct macronutrients. And then next time I'll talk about the micronutrients. But this is important while we get the correct macronutrients. Again, macronutrients as a whole help with the building blocks of the body. Right? So these things are foundational. Okay? And in that category we have carbohydrates, which are good for our muscles. Also give us a lot of energy. We need that energy throughout the day. Then we also have proteins. Proteins are great because proteins help with the formulation of antibodies and fighting off diseases and things like that. And last but not least, we have the lipids and fats, and lipids and fats are important because of that whole cell membrane. If we can again attack everything or change things at a very cellular level, then that will make monumental changes for your body. And it's just that simple. Yeah, yes ma'am.
First, what are good carbohydrates?
So what are good carbohydrates? So pasta is good. Yes. It just depends on like what type of noodle you use. Like you can use wheat noodles. There's a such thing called wheat noodles. You have wheat rice noodles as well, and vegetable noodles. Brown rice is good. When it comes to brown rice, I would put that in a category of something that you want to limit, not necessarily avoid, but just limit your intake. Yeah. And it's good, but just not 7 days a week I'm going to eat nothing but brown rice. I mean, you're going to see that other places, let me tell you.
And my second question is, okay, so we have proteins from beans, mental beans. Is beans also considered carbohydrate?
Beans could also be considered a carbohydrate as well. Yeah, beans can also be considered a carbohydrate because they do give us energy, right? Like there is some overlap in this. Like say for example, like when we think about chia seeds, right? Chia seeds is considered where we can get our protein from, but they also can be considered where we can get our fats and our lipids because they are a good source of omega-3. So there is some overlap in all of this. Yeah.
I got a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, but that little demonstration you had just now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, council was at the door.
Council's out the door.
Well, I'm asking this because I've been to something like that little demonstration. Okay, now council got there to the door,
Mm-hmm.
but it couldn't get in or it was something disrupted. So what happened to the council? It was there, so now what happened to the council?
So the antibodies, right? The antibodies within the cytoplasm.
Once it got in the door, you mean?
Once it gets in the door,
Okay.
the antibodies will begin to attack it. They will begin to recognize it, and they will begin to attack it. So one of the things that I've heard and have stand on myself is that within our bodies there are cancer cells. It's just that they're not activated.
Come on.
They're not activated. Right now in my body there's cancer cells,
Right.
but they're just not activated. It's when they slip into the realm of being activated. It's like, oh, now we're on. Now we're going to. We got a fight on our hands.
Yeah. And probably one of the things that causes that activation is that
Having an acidic body. Again, anything less than a 7 on a pH scale would be considered acidic. Anything above a pH scale would be considered base or alkaline. So if we keep our bodies in anything less than a 7 in an acidic state, then we are inviting those things. But if we keep our bodies in a more alkaline state or above a 7, then we're not inviting those things.
Okay, now, the antibody done destroyed the cancer, right?
Boom, gone.
Now, what happened to the cancer? Does it come out in urine I mean, what happened to it?
So it just go,
It's dead now.
and it just goes back to into the body just being an average cancer cell that's not activated. I mean, because it's like,
So you can't never really get rid of it.
because it's in our bodies. There's nothing wrong with that. We just have to, I shouldn't say we just have to, but it would behoove us. It would behoove us to understand how not to trigger those things. Because it's always about triggering those things in our bodies that we don't want to trigger.
Oh, okay. So it go back to sleep or whatever.
It goes back to sleep. There we go. I like that. It goes back to sleep.
Okay.
It goes in hibernation. Yeah.
It's like, okay, basically what you're saying is if we proceed to put bad things in our body, we're feeding the cancer basically. So you have to eliminate the bad stuff that you're putting in your body, and it will then be able to stay going. So that's all you have to do. It's just you're replacing the bad things with the good things. So therefore it can come out.
I want Ashley.
You better recap.
Yeah, that's a beautiful recap. Thank you.
Amen.
I was trying to explain it myself. I would understand it myself too.
Yeah, that's
Good
beautiful.
job, Ashley.
Awesome, awesome.
How do you test the alkaline level in your
Yes.
That's a good question. So that is out of my scope,
Okay.
right? But I would recommend.
Yeah, so there are such things that's called alkaline strips. So you pee on them, and then they let you know what your pH is.
Right away.
And I
Amen to
think
that.
they have those I think they have them at Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, you don't have to have
No, ma'am.
We're getting ready to get right up there.
So what you say?
No, we're already right.
We have a really good question. Can you repeat it, please?
To fix it in an acidic body, you can only what you clean or
What is she saying?
I can't hear you.
So the repair of acidic a body, the only thing that we need to do is consume food. Is that correct? Changing nutrition is a big thing. And we take that for granted. And of course, water consumption. Water consumption is a huge thing. Good water. And we didn't get on that topic, but there is a difference between bad water and good water. I would say steer away from faucet water. And again, there are some counties, some municipalities that take pride in their water system, that try to do a really good job of filtrating water through their faucet or through their sewage. Never mind, not sewage.
Oh my
But
God.
really, that's stay away from the faucet water. Stay away from the faucet water. Yeah, stay away from the faucet water. Now, you can get a purifier, and you can run the water in the purifier, and then again you place it in the refrigerator, or you can also get a purifier that connects to the faucet, and then that will purify as it comes out of the faucet.
The river is the source.
Yeah. Yeah.
So alkaline spring water?
Alkaline spring water, yes. Yes. Mineral water. If you have to drink it, then yes, it would be better than drinking like juice and things of that nature. Yeah. But if you are in a position to say, hey, you know what, I want to get some spring water, or I want to get alkaline water, filtrated water, then you can slowly migrate into that. So it's not bad, right? Because it is better than just drinking faucet water. But again, it's like going to that next level above that.
What brand do you purchase?
There is really you can't get it from a store. So if I have to go to the store, then I'll get spring water from like Walmart or
That's right, Green Pack.
yeah, or Target. But my preference is to use something called a Kangen water or Kangen water. Kangen water or Kangen water. There's several different ways.
It's
How do you
natural.
spell
natural
it?
fiber.
Spell it.
Kangen, Kangen water or Kangen water. Kangen or Gan, Kangen. I think it's Kangen. Kangen.
What about LIGI water?
Fiji, yes.
Let's say that one out for us. I think we should have a little Fiji to get some.
Fiji, yeah. Fiji water.
It tastes delicious.
Fiji water, and also Voss. There's something called Voss. Voss. There was a time when Voss containers were glass.
Yeah.
And so-
They're plastic now.
They're plastic.
and they're plastic now. And there's the whole thing about plastic, drinking water from a plastic bottle because they're too long.
Yeah.
And but anyway, if you're able to get water in a glass, like the Voss water that was once in a glass, then that's great. So Voss, Fiji water. Again, just getting a filtration system for your faucet or the filter system itself for that you can place on the refrigerator.
Yeah, have you ever noticed animals too, when you pour them water, whatever, they'll let the water sit and settle. And it'll allow the water to release whatever toxins and gas in it. And let the atmosphere somewhat alkaline before they actually go to it. Does that work? Yeah, I'll take my water out and let it sit for a minute.
That's good. Yes, ma'am.
I got just like,
Okay.
how bad our water is that comes straight from, I have a humidifier, and so I just filled up the tank with water, and it was fine, did the humidified the room and everything, but the next morning, the water that was left in there was like black coffee. I put water in there, and it was just water and a container, but water next morning was like brown. I mean, like. Just like.
I tell you, at 15 years old, I worked for, I committed a crime. And part of my restitution was to work for a waste treatment company. And to see,
Also, the next morning, my humidifier was full.
that's right,
It was good.
it was cool.
Move.
They put a chemical in there, it's the craziest thing, it's all scientists and lab driven, how they filtrate it, and to put people on a city sewer system, it's the worst. Because they take all that stuff, filtrate it, put chemicals in it, you can't tell until it's been exposed to some type of shock or something, you can't tell what you're drinking. Because body, sounds bad, but they bring it in, some they used to pump the sewer tank, septic tanks, pump it, and bring it and put it in a little pool, or if it comes through the filtration system, all of it comes pipes and goes to the waste treatment plant. And they spin it, they put it in a spinner, agitate it, get it all broken up. When they filtrate it, yeah, it's horrible. You see all kind of stuff in there. People flush down their toilets, sinks and stuff. So they filtrate it. When they filtrate it, it goes into another filtration system, and it separates, you know, like paper, all kind of different stuff, crazy stuff. Female products, prophylactics, different things. Just you see rats, you see all kind of stuff. And so as it's spinning, it goes through a filtration system. That may be a little bit more sophisticated than it was now than it was back then. But but there's no way to sophisticate drinking poop. You can't. So it went through several different, I worked there for about 6 months.
Yeah, I think you had about so many hours.
Had so many hours to work. So I'm intrigued, I'm looking, I'm going in the lab, and they got petri dishes and all kind of different things that they're doing. And they show me the end product of that. Look out. And the poop has to go into like a gelatin state and sit in the sun. Then they put it back in there and stir it up again. Then they begin to liquefy it, make it drinkable.
And we drink it.
And we drink it. Yeah, it's good. But then, yeah.
Cold ice.
Dr. Stephen is saying your life expectancy.
So there is a certain level of heat that will kill the bacteria. I mean, if you're boiling water in like a tea kettle, I don't think it would get that hot enough to really kill like the real bad stuff.
Well, I tell you to boil it for what bring it to us.
And last but not least, if I would add is I made a dish last night, and so all of you are more than welcome to have some of that. It's just this. Where's it at? It's in the refrigerator. It's just a jambalaya. So there is
All about, okay? Your birthday, on there? Birthday May 2nd? Well, we may have to do, your vegan cake. And I'm going to ask Isha and Precious to come up. Y'all come up closer.
Come on up. Get on up.
Come on, baby.
Brandon.
Huh? Yeah,
Brandon.
get my wife.
Brandon.
Hey, ain't this a beautiful couple right here, man? Oh, you ain't got to hide behind your cane. Be seen with your cane. Yeah, I'll come stand in front of us. You stand in front of me, you stand in front of my wife. Amen. Hallelujah. I love you. Y'all hold hands and stand this up right there. And you can face it, still face it. I love the fact that God is sending competent, capable, and intelligent people to join our team.
Amen.
Amen. And along with Dr. Stevens, his inspiration, Ishard has inspired me. Before I met Dr. Stevens, and that would confirm, he inspired me. Him and I have some similar backgrounds and some similar struggles. And so we sit down and we talk, breakfast. And